Hey guys, you're listening to the Your Party People podcast. This is Lexi Tran, owner of Ivory and Fern, a Midwest space photographer.
And this is Katie Murphy, owner of Jane Ray Events, your Midwest wedding planner. We're here to give you couples a guide on how to maneuver one of the best days of their lives and how to keep it from being one of the worst. Welcome to the party.
Woo woo! Hey guys, it's Katie and Lexi, Your Party People, exclusive wedding podcast. We are back today. Last time, we had the honor of talking to Miss Lauren Lavin with Bakeology, and I'm actually really sad that I didn't eat any cake after that because, man, that made me really hungry for some.
Me too.
Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, love languages. I love the love languages, and if you haven't heard about it, we're going to give you all the juice on it. Before we start, though, today is National Coffee Day. National Coffee Day.
Speaking about love languages.
Yes, if that is a whole love language, it should be one on its own. Kitty, what is your drink of choice?
I am drinking a caramel macchiato, iced, of course. Delicious.
And I've got, people say I'm crazy, but I have an iced vanilla latte with an extra shot. So there's like 4 shots of espresso in it. And people are like, why do you do that? And I'm like, well, I do like 18, 19-hour wedding days. So like a quad shot is the only way. Survive.
And I'm like caffeine immune. Like I could have 6 shots in this and I would just be acting normal.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, love coffee.
Yeah, love coffee, love languages. It should be one on its own.
Yes. So let's get into the love languages and what they are. And I'll start with listing them off and then we'll kind of explain to you more in depth what they are, what they mean, and it'll be fun to see which one relates to you the most. So they are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So the way, I'll start with telling you what mine is, and then Lexi, let me know what yours is too. So how I express love is acts of service and gift giving a little bit, and we'll explain to you what those are. And then how I receive love is acts of service as well. So when people do things for me, like I'll never forget, it's something so simple, but Matt, my husband, I had a very late night at a wedding and I had to get up the next day super early to start another one. And I walked into my bathroom and my clothes were laid out for my day. And that's something so simple, but I cried.
Yes.
Like it made me so happy because that's just how I receive love, and the way that he had to think about it and just think ahead and plan, it meant a lot to me.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I express love through gift giving and words of affirmation. I send long text messages. So if I feel like I haven't seen someone for a while, or I feel like they're struggling through something, I feel like that's the best way I can provide support for them is
Sure.
giving as much affirmation to them as I can. So whether it be compliments or long text messages, I like to send postcards to people too. Once a month, I just write random postcards and just send them to my friends, even if they live in town. Cause I just feel like what a nice way to just get your mail and be like, oh, it's actually, yeah. And then receiving love, I also do gift giving, but I also really like physical touch. So Tommy, my husband, every night I ask for a back rub and it never fails. He gives it to me and it just fills my whole day. Even if I've had the worst day, that is the one thing I know that will make up for it, which is so strange how your body you just learn that.
Yeah, I know. It's so interesting to see which love language speaks to you the most.
Yes.
And why that is.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first one, we'll start going into that, words of affirmation. So that is exactly what it is. It's verbal acknowledgments, saying I love you, complimenting people, just saying, like you said, writing things too. That includes words of affirmation, and just spilling it all out so they can really hear that, look back on it. And actually, back to my husband, that's his love language. So I really am familiar with that one, and I leave little notes here and there if I'm going to be gone for a wedding weekend or something, and just little things. It really makes a difference.
Yeah.
I would say.
I love that one. That one's so nice too. And it's so simple. Even if that isn't your love language or your significant other's love language, it's somebody that you know's love language. Somebody loves to be acknowledged just by you telling them. And that's just so simple. I love it. The next one we have is quality time. And these are all pretty much what they say they are. Quality time, just hey, intentional time, put your phone away, let's do something, just us, let's go out, let's take a walk, or let's go watch a movie or listen to music. And I know that one really well because that is Tommy's love language.
Okay.
We could literally just go, like, we had a date night the other night for the first time in like a long time because, you know, babies do that. And we went and saw a movie, and Tommy's like, well, what movie do you want to see? And me knowing that that's not my love language, but it's his, that as long as we're together, it doesn't matter. I said, you just pick the movie because I'm indifferent. As long as I have popcorn and candy, I'm fine.
Right.
So he picked a movie, and like you could tell like drastically after we got done that he like really felt that he appreciated that, even though like I didn't feel like, I mean, like, I love him and I love date nights, but it wasn't like made my whole day that we saw this movie. But for him, it's just a totally different feeling.
Yeah. And having, like, especially being the longer you're married or longer you're in a relationship, like having just meaningful conversation too, and always have something to talk about, that can that's like a huge love language.
Oh, yes. And I feel like that's where a lot of tension rises in marriages, is when you don't know each other's love language. Because then I'm like, Tommy, why don't you buy me gifts? Why don't you do this? But that's because that's not his love language. So he has to learn mine to be able to provide for me to make sure that I'm fulfilled, and vice versa. So I think that's where a lot of like weird conflict that doesn't matter, like those unintentional fights that like you're like, why did we do that? Like I feel like a lot of that stems from like just not understanding like what a love language is and like how they connect to your relationship.
Right. That's totally right. I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference when you
does.
know.
Absolutely.
Know your own too.
Yep.
So you can tell them that and then know theirs.
Oh,
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break and hear from our girl Ashley with this or that, and we'll be right back with the rest of the love languages.
Hey, it's Ashley with This or That, and today we're talking about doing a second wedding dress on your day. Now, I'm a little extra, so I'm here for this trend, but some things to consider as you're trying to decide if this is something that fits you. Kind of consider, what does your first dress look like? Is that something that's going to be comfortable all the way through the dance? You want to be able to do a little bit of this. And if you feel like you can't do that, maybe a second dress would be a good option. Or if you just want to change the feel of the day, maybe it's been very like romantic and classy and that sort of thing for your ceremony, but you really want to amp up the fun for the dance, a second dress is a great option to do this. It sort of introduces the new feel for the rest of the reception. So budget is also something to consider. Sometimes this works out, sometimes it doesn't, but a second dress option doesn't have to be as expensive as the first. So there are ways that you can do this even if you're on a budget.
Hey guys, we are back. Thank you, Ashley, for giving us a great tip. And we're going to go back into the rest of the love languages. And the next one I touched on earlier because it is mine, acts of service. So this is when your partner just goes out of the way to make your life easier. So this could be a number of things, but even coming home and making a dinner, whether it's mac and cheese in the box or whether it's grilled steaks, whatever it is, like that's an act of service. Or taking out the trash or doing something just that makes life easier. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I would say. And overall, like for me, that's my love language because I really think that actions speak a lot louder than words do. Not discounting words of affirmation at all, but because I know
you just feel more power in actions.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
it just speaks to me a lot more. So I think that's a huge one for me. And yeah.
Yeah, especially because like I hate doing the dishes. That is like I will literally clean the bathroom from floor to ceiling before I do the dishes. I don't know why, I just hate it. So whenever Tommy does the dishes, even though it's not my love language, even though Tommy does the dishes, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness, because like it's not for me.
Yeah, funny thing about dishes, I don't mind doing them. I go through like spurts. I'm like sometimes if there's some there, it like satisfies me that I cleaned something and it's over, but my husband just doesn't think I do them very well. So it gives me a good excuse to just let them sit in the sink and he can come do them.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. So our next love language is gifts, which is both of ours. We both use gift giving as a love language. So really, that's just like, so another simple one. These are all so simple to do in your lifetime, but like it's not about like the kind of gift that you give the person. It's about the actual action of giving them the gift. So it's like whenever my friends are like going through a hard time or like something, or they're struggling, or they've just had a bad day, my mind automatically reverts to gift basket. I'm going to go and I'm going to get a card and I'm going to write something cute in it. I'm going to get them candy and like socks. And like you put it in a cute little bag and you wrap it up and you leave it on their doorstep. And not only does it make them happy, but it also like fulfills your day too. Like when it is your own love language, gift giving, like fills your cup in a different way too, as well as providing for others, which is so great. So it can literally be anything from just like a handwritten card that has like, I don't know, stickers in it, or like candy or a coffee date or something of that sort. Gifts are so easy.
Yeah, it's not exactly about how much money you spend on it. It's more of what's in it and how it relates to that person. And I do that a lot with my friends too and family. Like if they're going through a hard time, and get them something beforehand that'll just make it a little easier. Like somebody's thinking of you, and yeah,
it's so great.
That's how I give the most, I think.
Yes,
is
I
that
feel like,
way.
Yeah, I feel like whenever my mind automatically reverts to giving a gift. Like my friend's birthday was just the other day, and she was just like having a rough day on top of that as well. And so I was like, oh, what are things she loves? Okay, well, my friend is one of those people that like loves all like diet treats. Like, you know how some people don't like those like fiber bars or like protein bars? She like loves them. And so I went to Target and I picked out a bunch and I just like threw them in a bag and just like gave them to her. Do you know what I mean? Because like it's such an easy thing because you already know something about that person that they like. It's okay if they eat it all the time or they use it all the time. It's okay. Just give it to them anyway because they're going to love it regardless. So
what I would give to love diet treats.
Yeah, right?
Instead of Snickers and Doritos.
Shout out to her because she just like, she's like, oh, what do I want to eat for a snack? I'm like, Taco Bell, Doritos, cake, wine. And she's like, I think I'm going to have a protein bar. And I'm like, no.
And last but not least is physical touch. So you touched on that earlier about Tommy. And so that's just physical signs of affection, like hugging, kissing, whatever else that leads to.
Yeah.
That's
just sit next to me.
Yes. Yeah. And it creates like such a powerful connection. I think that's why if this is somebody's love language, it's very strong because it's above all others because of what it gives to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we talked all about love languages, and I think it will be confusing, but it's so easy to figure out your own and your significant others. You can literally just Google 5 love languages, and there will be a quiz online for you to actually take. And I encourage you to take it like at the same time as your significant other and go over your responses, like go over like what your results were with each other, because it's so easy, it's quick to do, and it's honestly kind of fun to like figure out what yours are and how they connect. And it's kind of like the Enneagram, right? Like you figure out like, oh my gosh, that's so spot on. And then you figure out your love languages and you're like, oh yeah, that is how I do things. That is how I feel love and feel appreciated.
Yeah. And I know we talk about a lot in this podcast, like up to the point of marriage and the wedding day and everything. But this is something, yes, to do up to that point, but then afterwards too. Like marriage, you know, it's fun, but it's tough, guys. It's definitely a job. And being able to learn that about each other, it just keeps you both going.
Right. And like I said, over time, like that's why all these little spats always happen in marriages, because like sometimes you just don't understand that your wife or your husband feels love because they want you to touch them, and that might not be important to you, but it's important to them. And so if you know that, I guarantee you 80% less petty arguments of, well, you don't even buy me flowers. Well, why do you want flowers? Because that's their love language is gift giving, probably.
Right.
So I mean, like it makes so much sense when you have it figured out, and honestly, it makes things a lot easier, because then it's like, okay, what do I want to gift for Tommy for Father's Day? Okay, well, I know he likes quality time, so I'm going to take him somewhere.
Right.
Versus like, oh, I don't know what to get them. I don't know what to do for them.
Yeah. It says a lot about the person once you know what their love language is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that wraps up all of them.
Yeah. So thanks for listening today, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one. And like we said before, encourage you to find out your love languages. Super fun, super easy. And we will see you guys at the next party.
Yeah. See you guys. Thanks for listening to the Your Party People podcast. If you already love us, make sure to come back to the party every other Wednesday.
If you really love us, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at It's Your Party People Podcast. And make sure to let us know your thoughts on the show and if you have any topics you want us to cover in a future episode. DM us on Instagram or email us at yourpartypeoplepodcast@gmail.com, and maybe we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. See you at the next party.
Bye.